Good afternoon, everybody. On this Thursday, March 13th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And on today's episode, we are, of course, are going to be discussing the bombshell story of the day. That's Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. There's been a motion for protective order in the case, and the judge has responded, issuing that order, but with caveats. We'll discuss it, plus why Justin's side and why Blake's side are calling this a win. Also, Justin Bieber discussing imposter syndrome. We'll share that story. I mean, I think we all have it in one degree or another. And if you don't, you should. No, a little bit. But we'll discuss that in an update on Luigi. Plus, the track attack. Remember the track attack? The 4x200 meter bludgeoning with the baton? Well, we have an update from the person who is now being, charged with battery. So we'll share that. And there is a event happening at Trump Tower in New York City, as it has been raided by angry protesters. I'll share live footage of that. And is there a ceasefire deal going down in Ukraine? Possibly, although, again, not holding my breath. We'll share all of these stories and more. It's happening right now on The Rush. All right, stick around for the Baldoni, Blake Lively content. We will have it. A spokesperson for Blake Lively and for Justin Baldoni have both responded, claiming victory. I'll get the consensus as it's coming out. This is hot off the press breaking news. But first, let's go to the other Justin, the original Justin Bieber. He's opening up about mental health issues and says he's always felt like a fraud. Here's what he had to say. People told me my whole life, wow, Justin, you deserve that. And I personally have always felt unworthy, like I was a fraud. Like when people told me I deserve something, it made me feel sneaky, like, damn, if they only knew my thoughts, how judgmental I am, how selfish I really am, they wouldn't be saying this. I say all this to say, if you feel sneaky, welcome to the club. I definitely feel unequipped and unqualified most days. I love the honesty. I feel that way all the time. And you know, Justin was not plucked from obscurity, but he became famous really fast. Maybe he feels like he didn't earn it. I remember once, having a moment with Justin where I was on the beach and no one was recognizing him and he was just walking down the beach. And I saw a guy walk up to me. I didn't know it was Justin Bieber, but we made eye contact and I do that thing. I said, hey man, how are you? And he was like, good, man. And then we walked on. We moved, we parted our paths. And then as he turned the corner, somebody recognized him and then someone else did. And the next thing you know, oh my gosh, Justin Bieber. And then he lost that moment of just being a normal human. And I don't think people that have not had a taste of that level of fame could understand what that must feel like, feeling like a fraud, because everyone elevates you to a position you can't possibly live up to. So I think it's so powerful for him to say, you know what? I don't feel like I deserve half the stuff I have, and that's okay too. Just take that energy and every day prove yourself wrong and do something creative for you, and you'll get to the place where you, in the end, feel adequate. But I understand that feeling, absolutely. And you know, I mean, if Jessica Simpson can get on stage after 15 years, then anyone can, right? No, I mean, Jessica Simpson's a certified 100 millionaire, right? She's worth a lot of money, but mainly from selling, I believe, boots. Right? She's big in the boot world. She has a shoe collection. But either way, of course, she is resurrecting her singing career. Good for her. After 15 years, where are my old millennials at? Who feels old when you hear that it's been 15 years since Jessica Simpson? I mean, I was like a teenage boy when she came out with that music video of her washing the car. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't mean to sound like a creep, but we didn't have all of the access to adult entertainment when we were young. We just had Jessica Simpson car washing. I mean, it was really a lonely time in the early 2000s. Here she is at South by Southwest. Just a block party, keeping it casual, and she sings "These Boots Are Made for Walking." Not an original. You just say you got something. But here she is, and everyone's just taking their own videos of it. Like, you're not going to believe where I am. They're like at a Jessica Simpson concert, and they're going to be like, cool. Good luck with those videos. Either way, I'm happy for her, and resurrect the career, bring it back. You're allowed to be a mom. You can take a break. You can take 15 years off. For all of my people in the audience that are like, oh my gosh, I want to get into this, or I used to do slam poetry and I don't do it anymore. Why? Go back. Be cool. Do it. Do what you want to do. Just do what you want. Do what makes you happy. Oh, Oh, well, my kids need me. No, they need a mom that's not bitter. Go do what makes you happy, or a dad, okay? That's for whoever needs to hear it. Breaking news, New York Police Department Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who led the search for Luigi Mangione, has been called to respond regarding allegations of misconduct by Sergeant David Greco, including unlawful searches and seizures. Prior misconduct history shows lawsuits for false arrest and creating false statements. He's named in 55 lawsuits with $1.2 million in settlements. Now, I like law enforcement. I think it's a tough job to do. But my issue with NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch is she was never a cop. And now she's the commissioner of the NYPD. And then she stands up there on the podium saying, we're going to find the bad guy, this being Luigi Mangione. And it's like, sure. But Jessica Tisch comes from the Tisch family, right? They have the Tisch School at New York at NYU. And they own half of the stadium, the New York Giants, right? They own half of them along with the Mara family, who the granddaughter is Rooney Mara. So it's all connected. The nepotism, she's part of this billionaire class, and she's leading the cops. I don't buy it. That's exactly what Luigi was standing up against, right? The sort of people with their foot on the scale of how society exists. Now, I'm not saying what he did or did not do. I'm not saying what he's alleged to have done is right, but I think we should be having the conversation about why that happens and why there will be more political violence that exists, because there will be when people feel like their livelihoods are at risk. It's like getting backed into a corner. All right, well, here's an interesting update regarding the high school runner now being charged with assault and battery for the alleged baton attack. Now, according to this still image, it's not looking good. I mean, she's literally whacking her in the back of the head with a baton. But I like to believe in people's innocence where I can, and I don't know if she meant to do it or not. I don't. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. But here is that track runner who is accused of attacking the other runner with a metal baton. And here she is. She spoke to ABC.
I never do that on purpose. That's not in my character.
Everett says the incident is a complete misunderstanding, pointing to another angle of the race as proof.
The baton was literally like her arm was literally hitting the baton like this until she got a little ahead and my arm got stuck like this.
In the video, Everett is seen on the inside track running the 4x200 relay at the Virginia State High School League Championships when junior Kaylin Tucker came around the outside on the corner.
I mean, from that angle, it looks like she hit her in the head. My thought is there was a lot of elbowing happening, and then out of frustration, hit her in the head. So that, I mean, but again, she's denying it. So I hope she gets at least a decent defense fund, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. All right, I have a very bizarre story of the Ghost Adventure star Aaron Goodwin. Cops inform him that his wife hired a hitman against him while the cameras were rolling. We'll get into this next. Now, I love a good ghost hunt, but it looks like the star of Ghost Adventures was in the process of being ghosted on by his wife. And by ghosted on, I mean finding out she tried to get him killed. So Aaron Goodwin and the Ghost Adventures crew were on a shoot when cops called to tell him his wife allegedly tried to have him killed. Cameras caught the dramatic moment. Now, here's the sad part. They're not going to include it in the episode. I mean, maybe there's for legal reasons whatsoever, but listen, if you want to promote Ghost Adventures, dip into this guy Aaron Goodwin's life. And I know what the ladies in the audience are thinking. Well, what did he do that led his wife to want to have him killed? And maybe he's bringing home demons. Maybe she can use that claim. Well, he was doing his job and he brought home a demon and it made me do something crazy. I don't know. I'll have updates if they come. I would love to hear the audio recording of him finding out his wife had him, try to get him killed. Anyway, let's move it on from there. Here's our big story of the day. We just had a breaking news story that popped out of nowhere, and that being that the judge in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case issued a response to the idea of a protective order. I'm going to try to summarize this as best as possible. Blake Lively wanted a protective order in instances to protect her mental health, her family's mental health, any issues they don't want known publicly. They were worried that Justin Baldoni's side was going to leak any salacious information to continue to smear her. He said, why would we do that? We just want to defend our client, and it kind of went back and forth. Well, the judge does issue a protective order of sorts. In the protective order, The judge will be deciding what pieces of evidence will have attorney's eyes only. Basically, what will be confidential and what won't be confidential. What will the public be allowed to see? And they're going to work through this all. But the judge also said that any evidence that makes its way to trial, any pertinent evidence that makes its way to trial will be public. So if this does go to trial, which a lot of people are saying there's no way this is going to happen, but if it does go to trial, all of the important evidence will come to light. And I think this is good because, to be quite honest, we don't need to dive into the salacious text messages between people unless it has to do with this case, in which case, air it all out. So they're both claiming victory here. I'm going to share what they each have to say. On the surface, this is a big win for Team Lively. As we reported, this is by TMZ, she and her attorneys wanted the protective order as a means to block Justin's side from continuing to release a slew of emails, text, videos, and other material related to the war over It Ends With Us. Justin and his attorney, Brian Friedman, have said they want to reveal as much evidence as possible to defend his reputation from the accusations Blake's made against him, which include harassment. Silver lining for Team Baldoni. The judge's order includes a provision informing both sides. The court is unlikely to seal or otherwise afford confidential treatment for any documents exchanged between Blake and Justin that end up as evidence in the trial. So I don't see why this is a big win for Blake. I think Blake Lively's side wanted the protective order as a way to say we shouldn't have to share the inner workings of the text messages between Blake and whoever else, Bradley Cooper, Taylor Swift, whatever. Translation, all the juicy stuff will come out in the end, assuming this goes to trial and doesn't settle out of court. Brian Friedman, power attorney, tells TMZ, we are fully in agreement with the court's decision to provide a narrow scope of protection to categories such as private mental health records and personal security measures that have never been of interest to us, as opposed to Miss Lively's exceedingly overbroad demand for documents for a 2.5-year period of time, which the court rightly quashed. We remain focused on the necessary communications that will directly contradict Miss Lively's unfounded accusations. We will oppose any efforts by Miss Lively and her team to hamper our client's ability to defend against her attacks by incorrectly categorizing important information as trade secrets, especially considering there were no issues in providing these communications willingly to the New York Times. Okay, that being, all of the information the Times had when they started the smear campaign. So what Justin Baldoni's attorney is saying, they're not going to hide behind calling it trade secrets. And that was the big issue, right? Saying, we can't share this with you guys. It's all trade secrets. It's all proprietary. Now they're going to have to prove that. And we'll have to see how much of what they share is going to be considered attorney's eyes only, or was it all BS? A spokesperson for Blake says today the court rejected the Wayfair party's objections and entered the protections needed to ensure the free flow of discovery material without any risk of witness intimidation or harm to any individual security. With this order in place, Ms. Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court. Well, both sides declare victory. I'd love to know what you guys think. Of course, the internet is going to say, well, Justin Baldoni's side won here. And I think they're right. As far as, if it's not relative information, we don't care. It actually proves the point of the audience saying, well, yeah, we all love salacious stuff, but in the end, it's all about finding the truth of was she actually harassed or not? That's really what it comes down to, right? All right, let's move it on to some other crazy stuff happening. I mean, we really are living in a wild time. This might be the only time I share a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet, but she posted this: protesters have occupied Trump Tower in New York City chanting "Free Mahmoud, free them all." I know the owner of that building and he will definitely be pressing charges. FAFO. Now, hold on a second. Let's actually go to this clip. This is the inside of Trump Tower. So they're yelling, "Free Mahmoud, free them all." Now, real briefly, to catch you up, Mahmoud was a protester at Columbia University who was being deported. He has a green card and is married to an American citizen. His wife is 8 months pregnant. She was told he was going to be in New Jersey or somewhere close by in a detention center. When she went there, she found out he was actually being held in Louisiana. They're claiming that they can deport a green card holder even though he hasn't been charged with a crime. They are saying that. The press secretary said he hasn't been charged with a crime and they think they can just deport him. They're claiming that he is in support of Hamas, even though he claims he's just pro-Palestinian. Again, as we talked about earlier today, this is a very simple and easy way to divide people. Claim that he's part of a terror organization. Now, he is entitled to his free speech, as we all are, to say, you could say that you are pro a terror organization as long as you are not colluding to act out any of the illegal activities of that organization. That's the First Amendment. And folks have said, well, you're not entitled to the First Amendment as a visa owner. Maybe, but you are if you have a green card. So it's been reported that they thought he only had a visa, so they thought they could just get him out of the country. But then they found out he had a green card and they doubled down. This could be a simple gaffe, mistake by the Trump administration that plays on for a very, very long time. You know, those that support Trump, for the most part, want freedom of speech, right? You want people to be able to say their thoughts on things. Well, how come now the Trump administration is saying they're going to lock up and deport people who are doing illegal protests? If it is illegal, arrest them. If they're doing something illegal, like inciting violence or things like that, you can arrest people for that. No arrests have been made. Where are my fellow First Amendment absolutists? Where are you? This is so important because first it's Mahmoud, and then what is it next? What if I'm against invading Panama because of the canal? Will I have my channel shut down? Like, where do you draw the line? Is a question we've been asking. And speaking of the Panama Canal, Trump is weighing options that possibly may involve a military invasion.
Some breaking news, exclusive new reporting on the Panama Canal. According to two U.S. officials, the White House has directed the U.S. military to draw up options for increasing the American troop presence in Panama, including even having U.S. troops seize the canal by force.
So according to these officials, Anna, the White House directed the military to draw up these options. So U.S. Southern Command has been drawing them up for the past several days now. They were presented some draft options to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth this week. But at this point, it still appears these options are drafts. Nothing has been decided. But as you said, this is all about increasing the U.S. military presence in Panama and in the Panama Canal.
Now, don't forget, a lot of people that voted for Trump did so because not only did they want freedom of speech, but they also wanted less wars to be fighting. Now, I'm not saying this will send us into war, but again, the collateral damage from trying to use aggression to sort of have our way is being played out because a lot of people use the Panama Canal. The Chinese, other countries, like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that want to make sure that that is not run by the U.S. And people will say, well, the U.S. gave it up. Well, maybe they did. But hey, what are you going to do? We gave it up in what, the 70s under Jimmy Carter? Is that how it worked? Either way, we'll cover that story along with a laundry list of other stories we have regarding the international world. Next up is a possible peace treaty. Ukraine and Russia, can they settle their differences? All right, I guess this is breaking news. Putin says Russia backs the Ukraine ceasefire, but they have to address the root causes. All right, what does that mean?
Moments ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Moscow supports the U.S. proposal to temporarily stop the fighting in Ukraine in principle, but said the root causes of the conflict would have to be addressed, and Russia would have to talk to Washington about those details.
Well, I look forward to hear what they are. I mean, look, Russia invaded Ukraine. So what is it going to say? We're going to stop attacking you if we can get to the root cause of why we attacked you. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. I would love a ceasefire, but what does it come down to? Will there be an exchange of land? Will it just be temporary while Russia regains its military support? Again, we'll have to see. All right, let's get out of that story. Let's go to tipping culture. CBS Mornings is saying, are we at a tipping point in tipping culture?
If you're tired of being asked to add a tip to your $7 latte, practically every purchase you make, you get asked to make this tip. Well, a new survey from the personal finance company Wallet Hub reveals, not surprised here, 86% of Americans believe tipping culture is, quote, out of control, and 83% think automatic service charges should be banned. And that's not all. 51% of people say they tip because of social pressure rather than for good service.
Oh yeah, I don't tipping for good service. I almost tip more if they're rude to me. I'm like, I'll show you 22%. No, but look, I get it. On one hand, I personally am a good tipper. I'm a good tipper, but I also think the system's so messed up. It is the same problem we have, right? There's so many people that are like, I'm against socialism, and like I get it, socialism and all that, but the idea, like social programs, we all pay into, and then we all kind of get something out of it, right? And yet in the country we live in, the only social program we have is we got to tip each other because their pay sucks so much. And I think if we had a more robust minimum wage, we would be less inclined to tip because we would know people are getting paid well. Like at Starbucks, I don't always feel the need to tip because they generally pay pretty okay, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. Someone's going to be like, I'm a barista. You're wrong. Sure, whatever. But I just don't like that waitresses in a lot of states will work for like $2 an hour below minimum wage and then have to live off of tips. Let's go to a society where like tell us what the price for the meal is and we just pay that price and leave and everyone's happy. And then capitalism will work it out. If the restaurant sucks and people don't make enough, then they'll have to raise their wages so they can attract more workers. Like it would work itself out if we had like a sort of a minimum that we lived by. And of course, the federal minimum wage is $7 an hour. No, I mean, God bless people that have to work for that minimum wage, but that doesn't get you anything in life. I think senators and congressmen should have to work minimum wage jobs just to realize how bad that is. I think that would help, right? Anyway, in our final story, another update. I guess I'm giving updates here on all the Eagles issues here at Big Bear. So the Eagles, let me hit the mute button because it's got some punk rock music. But this Jackie, the mom of the Eagles, leaves the nest for 3 minutes. And this is the evil one I shared earlier, the evil bird in the middle. Apparently the pecking order, it's a term people use, but when it exists in birds, it's like, apparently, this bird is gonna, it's the dominant one. It's probably gonna, I like to sanitize the news for you guys, but for those that are watching this live, that bird is going to kill its siblings. Like that's what's going to happen. Or it's going to make those siblings its bitch. The siblings are going to be doing all of its chores for it. Either way, it's going to be getting the most food, the most nutrition, and the parents aren't going to do anything about it. And look, I guess, you know what? That's the American bird right there. What symbology that everyone's looking out for themselves, stomping on each other. And here I am saying we should treat all the birds equally. That bird doesn't deserve it any more than the other birds. Some birds are stronger than others, but don't we all deserve the chance to thrive and soar? Fly, eagle, fly. I don't know. Just me? Just a dystopian world I want to live in? I don't know. That's it for us. All the updates from imposter syndrome to Luigi to track stars to Blake Lively. We really had it all. I'll be back in the morning. Tomorrow, I've got a lot of Blake Lively stuff. I really do. We've got Taylor Lorenz, the journalist who was trying to include me in her political brigade. I've got her radio recording. We're going to break that down and so much more. We had some stories today we didn't get to because of the breaking news, so we'll have it all tomorrow. Clear your schedule on Friday. You're going to show up to work hungover. You don't want to be there. Clear your schedule. Put your sunglasses. Should we have a sunglass Friday? Should we just do mandatory sunglasses? We'll just put sunglasses on tomorrow. Take those bloodshot eyes and let's just get through the week. Sound good? All right. Have a good one tonight. Don't do anything I wouldn't do and then some. Unless you're single, in case, go out there and have a blast and regret your choices and come back tomorrow and share some stories with us. We'll see you then. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.